What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new video. Today's another video request from a comment on a previous video, and it is about specifically nutrition on the bike during your first Ironman 70.3. I made a video about this. It is a lot of in-depth information, and I think I covered this fairly well, but I will do a separate video here just to target that, because I believe, like I made another video about bike pacing during Ironman 70.3 or Ironman, I think it is the most fundamental piece of the puzzle that if we nail it, if we nail the bike, both on the pacing and nutrition, we're gonna have a great run. So I can only speak for 70.3 because I still haven't nailed the full distance. The full distance on my part requires still a ton of work to be able to say that I nailed it. But on the 70.3, I think the strategy I used went very well because I had a great run after the bike. So the first thing is understanding that, in my experience, carbohydrate is the name of the game on the bike. So I choose to consume only carbohydrates, either from gels or from drinks, and nothing else. This has come from speaking with a lot of professional athletes who, upon the question, what do you eat during an Ironman? It's always gels. They eat gels, they eat nothing else. So I thought, why not try eating only gels? I personally know an athlete who did around 9 hours in an Ironman and he drank only Coca-Cola. So just to wrap our head around that. So I started researching, how is this possible? How is this possible? And basically what came out is this formula, and it is a formula that relates every single person's specific needs, because every single one of us is different. We all weigh different, to the amount of carbohydrate that needs to be ingested during a race. So the formula is 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight per hour of exertion. So in my case, 70 kilogram athlete, 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight, so 70 grams of carbohydrate per hour of exertion. And this I found to be extremely true in my specific case, because some people will say, oh, you need to eat more, or oh, you need to eat 60, or you need... Nobody can tell you what you need to eat. You need to figure that out for yourself. But I think this formula is a very good base to start from. So starting from 1 gram of carbs per kilogram of body weight per hour of exertion, I think is a very sound base. Professional athletes manage to do 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour, and that is awesome. The more carbohydrate you have, the more the intensity can be high. Vice versa, there's other people who say, oh no, you don't need to eat that much, you need to eat less. But maybe they weigh less, maybe they weigh 50 kilograms, or maybe, I don't know, maybe their intensity is lower. So you can't really listen to anyone, you need to try it out for yourself. And in this specific thing, one tool that I would absolutely recommend is Supersapiens, because Supersapiens can give you a clear snapshot of what is going on with your glucose levels, especially in long endurance stuff like above 2.5 hours, because under, let's say, 90 minutes, we are relying a lot on glycogen, so we can get through it because we don't really need to fuel that much. But anything that is above 2.5 hours and that gets up to 5-8 hours is always going to be reliant on some food intake. Specifically, what does this look like for me today? So for 70.3, 70 grams of carbs per hour is basically 3 gels per hour coupled with water. And I choose to do 2 normal gels, 2 power bar gels, and 1 caffeinated decathlon gel. Super basic stuff, nothing fantascientific, but sound strategy. So it turns out to be about Ironman 70.3 bike was, I think, 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. And it basically turns out to be 3 gels per hour. Water is to be consumed with gels. So in order to utilize the carbohydrate, we need to drink some water with it. And this is where some other things like the hydrogels and cyclodestrins come in. And each and every different carbohydrate has a different amount of water that it needs. And the other thing to remember is each and every single carbohydrate is different. So if we consume maltodextrin, which is 100% glucose, it's going to be different from a mixture of glucose and fructose, like sucrose, let's say. There are a million different studies that say, people are going to say, oh, this doesn't work, oh, this doesn't work. Just, you got to try it out. You got to try it out for yourself and figure out what works for you. Personally, I really do well with a mixture of sucrose, so 50% glucose, 50% fructose. I really do well with that. Or with gels, it's always like, if you go and look at Maurten gel, what they say is that if you increase the fructose with the glucose, you're going to have more, you can absorb more carbohydrate during 1 hour. But the secret is test, 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 and see what works for you. But always bear in mind, in my experience, is following that formula can yield great results. So 1 gram of carbs per kilogram of body weight per hour of exertion. Super basic, but in my case, it worked really well. Why gels? Because gels are basically the most efficient and, let's say, cleanest burning fuel there is. They are so rapidly absorbed by the body. And if we aren't using any energy to digest things, our body can do other things like focus on pedaling hard. What I did specifically during the Ironman 70.3 and the full distance Ironman was I set a timer on my bike computer every 20 minutes that would go off. So every 20 minutes I would have an alarm and I would just eat 1 gel and drink. That way I needed to think about nothing else but pedaling, and just when the alarm went off, bam, eat something and drink something. Another thing that I had on the bike was a bottle of salts, so isotonic salts. That can help with replenishing all the stuff that we're sweating out and all the salts that we're sweating out and prevent cramping. Next time I will not have that on the bike, but I will take it from the aid stations. One thing I would say is that this is always subject to change because the day can be very different. Even just if the race day is a cold day, the energy needs will go up because just to keep the body temperature up, we're going to need to eat more. We're going to consume more calories and we're going to need to eat more. And the other thing I would say is I think it's crucially important to eat enough on the bike because it's very easy to undereat actually. But then on the run, where maybe we would like to eat as much as we can eat on the bike because the bike is non-weight bearing, so it's very easy to digest and process food, whereas on the run it is completely different. Just even as a gesture, it's way harder to eat on the run. And our body is working so hard to pump muscles to the legs that it can't be like fussed with digesting stuff. So eating on the bike maybe a bit more than is necessary, I think can be a great idea in order to then have energy on the run. Because as the day goes by, our energy stores are going to get depleted. There is no way around that. So yeah, that's what I would say. Eat enough on the bike so that you have a great run. And coming back to practicing stuff, absolutely practice where you put the gels on the bike. Practice different types of gels because some people really can't manage some brands of gels, but they do really well on others. So always bear in mind that, and always bear in mind that every single person is different, and power bar might work for me, but it maybe won't work for you. So especially as beginners, I think there is a whole lot of stuff to learn, but there's also a lot of room for really rapid improvement. So maybe testing out and working on the nutrition strategy more, combined with pacing, combined with mindset, with everything, really can help us progress fast and have great results in a short period of time. Fine-tuning it, and as we progress, I think is different and can call for Supersapiens and all those kinds of tools. So, very short video on the bike nutrition for my first Ironman 70.3. Worked great. For the next race, I'm going to rely a lot more on the aid stations, especially for salts, isotonic drinks, and some nutrition as well. Because I find that having a lighter bike is very conducive to higher speeds and higher average speed while using less power. So that is for sure one thing I'm going to do. Okay, so that's a little video about triathlon bike nutrition, especially Ironman 70.3. Hope you liked it and hope you found it useful. Let me know how your tests go, and if you have any other questions or things that you want me to talk about, leave a comment down below. If you can, it would be great if you left a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to help with the growth of it. And I will catch you in the next video.